Alexander Turbin and Joe Leonardo. This is Comic Books from Coast to Coast. We're hanging out on a dreary Sunday afternoon over here in California. Is it nice over there in East Coast?
We must always have the same weather because no, it's like it's spattering snow right now, so it's a
Oh, nice.
gray kind of day. I forgot
Great
that
kind of day
I
in
posted
Bangor,
I forgot
Maine.
that I posted a little thing saying on Instagram saying we were going to start at 1:30. So we're a little late because Joe and I started gabbing, and once we start gabbing, it's hard to turn us off. So we're a little
Gotta
bit
like
late.
get all that good stuff out.
You
Today,
want to go ahead?
we're looking at special 48-page first issue of Alien Legion from Marvel's Epic Comics line. I remember this book fondly from my past. This is my copy I bought, at the 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I can see the big streak, the big crinkle mark in the
Oh
cover.
yeah, dude, this thing's been read to death. I remembered it fondly, you know what I mean? And then I read it last night and was not disappointed at all.
I did not read. I just read this today, and I was going to read it again because before we started the show, we were both talking about whether we liked it or not. And it is very wordy, and there's a lot of dialogue. There's a lot of narration. So yeah, when you go into this, don't be thinking that you're going to just get done with this in a couple minutes. This is it's not a chore to read, but it's an adventure that you have to buckle down and really think about what you're doing.
It does ask you to or dissolve. What's the word I'm thinking of? Absorb. It asks you to
Absorb.
absorb a lot. It does.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'll say this: okay, when I dug it out last night, I was like, oh man, I saw it was 48 pages. I was like, oh man, like why did we choose this? You know what I mean? I was like, oh man, this is weird, hard to get through. And I and started, and then right off the back, I was like, okay, it was like take a deep breath. I was like, so I'm gonna knock this whole thing out real quick. I'm a pretty fast reader or whatever. So I did read the entire Union and the Legion thing over here real fast, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Most of it is just nonsense, but it's dropping into the idea that this is like well after the light speed era of travel in this universe, and we have 3 different galaxies now, not star systems per se. I mean,
yeah,
that's a
yeah.
that's a
Galaxies.
yeah, that's a vast idea. 3 different
Yeah.
galaxies that have come together to form a union of federation, sort of like spaceship. And these guys are kind of like like the French
What's up,
Foreign
YouTube
Legion.
blocks? Sorry. Uh, YouTube block said hello to us.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I can't see anything on my feed where my camera
Oh
is
yeah,
right now,
yeah.
so
So
I
if I jump
apologize.
in, I might jump in every once in a while if somebody says
Yeah,
hello to us.
absolutely,
So
absolutely, because I can't see anybody's names or anybody joining in. But we
okay, cool.
appreciate everybody comes in and hangs out with us, and thanks so much for dropping by. We're
Yeah,
looking at
definitely.
Alien Legion today. Yeah, it's got some pretty vast ideas, but basically it drops you into the idea of these guys are sort of like the space French Foreign Legion, which is
Yeah, yep,
made up of a lot of different nations, and it's this sort of rogue group back in the turn of the century that took care of a lot of I guess black book situations in those days. I guess secret covert operations, and sort of the guys you call when you really need to get the job done, if it was like a Green Berets or something like that here in America, but over there it was the French Foreign Legion. And I remember when I was a kid growing up, you would always hear the French Foreign Legion be like, oh, I'm going to run away and join the French Foreign Legion, like in
yeah,
Charlie
yeah,
Brown and stuff like that.
yeah,
And I was always fascinated on what it was, as a little kid, like, what's the French Foreign Legion? And I believe it
yeah,
still
yeah.
exists to this day, but not to get
I don't
sidetracked.
know.
Um, so yeah, we get dropped into this idea of these 3 galaxies working together, and there's also this alien. Obviously, there's got to be some bad guys that they're dealing with, are the Harkalons, I believe they're called, and they're
Yeah.
a real industrial race of they're just all about capitalism and that kind of thing. And we get dropped into these cool bios. Why don't you go to the next page?
So should we read some of this? The Union and the Legion. You
Oh, I
think?
basically broke it down. I mean, if you want to read some of it, you can, but I just basically broke
Yeah,
down
yeah,
all the
yeah.
ideas that
You
you'll
pretty
see
much
on here.
did. I think it's more of when I think of it, because there's a lot of things that you can break it down into. I think of it as Star Trek mixed with what you're saying, the Foreign Legion, because there's a lot of Star Trek
Yeah, it's sort of like Star Trek
stuff
mixed with
going on.
Starship Troopers is what it,
Yeah, yep. Star
kind of
Trek
like
Troopers
builds up.
and
But the thing that sets it apart is Starship Troopers has female, characters, and this doesn't. This is like a strictly
that's true.
male, like military thing.
That's
And
true.
same thing with Star Trek. Star Trek has females, in their military ranks, and this is a strictly male military thing here.
Yeah.
So we get these bios. These
Did you read all these?
I did read I did read all these real quickly, and they're your basic stuff. This guy
Yeah.
on the left hand side, Tory Montrock, he's the Captain Kirk of the group, if you will. Like he's the good guy, who's like real
He's a little
trustworthy.
bit more sensitive though, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, typically these characters are filling, roles or whatever, I mean, standard
Yeah.
roles in like
Yeah.
a group paradigm, So here we have the very earnest, like, number 2 good guy. On the right hand page here, we have Saragar. He's the captain of the ship, and he's a hard, rough and
He's
tumble
cool. I
captain.
like
Like,
him. He's my favorite
he's my
character.
favorite character, bar none. Like,
Yeah.
Jugger Grimrod comes in second, but
Yeah.
Saragar is super cool. Just his design is dope,
Yeah. Yeah.
And go ahead and keep going. Yeah, we got Jugger Grimrod on the right, who sort of fills
Yep.
in the Wolverine, part of
Yeah,
these guys.
he's a little bit more fun. He's the he's the
I'll
wild
run in
card.
and handle all these guys by myself, dude, or
Right.
whatever. Like,
Right. Right.
And then Dirge over here is like he is with, even though he's small, he is the tank of the group or whatever. He's like super strong and he's basically invulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we have
Miko.
Miyako, who's like the doctor, and he's
Yeah, I
like
like him too. He's my
he's
second
got
favorite.
that sort of like he talks almost like Yoda or whatever, like he's got
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
backwards sort of speaking thing.
And he's just a
Torkadun is
good
like
guy.
yeah, he's just a good guy. Torkadun is like the cool guy of the group. He's really into money and just like making cash and like being a hot shot, and I guess you would call
Yeah.
him a rogue or whatever. Like he's like the Gambit or whatever of the group, like one of those types.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my only real problem, or one of my problems with the comic, is that they, if they're human and they're in their costumes, I can't tell them apart at all. Like they just, if they're aliens, that's one thing, but if they're human or humanoid, I have a hard time telling them apart.
Yeah, go ahead and switch the story. No, I agree 100%. There was more than, I mean, I think maybe that's why they put that thing up front, because there was a couple of times when I had to shift back and just.
Dan Goodwin say, "Hey, what's up?" And he says he loves Alien Legion.
Oh, Dan, what's up, dude? Dan Goodwin of
Yep.
Sundays in Space, super awesome artist. Awesome to have you here today, Dan. Thanks for stopping by, bro.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we drop into like this. It's a very Star Wars kind of thing right off the back. Did you feel that?
Yeah, but I don't like this page.
You don't?
No, I don't like what are these two dudes doing? Are they why aren't they showing the like you're showing inside the ship, right? And then it's just two dudes standing there. Why don't they have the captain, making some kind of orders to the helmsman, to do something?
Yeah.
It's just two dudes. And then what's up with all this space?
I was a little confused because I thought like the ship on the top of your page right there, I wasn't sure if it was a one-man ship or if it had, if that was the ship that had all these guys in it. But it breaks itself down like once you get going. And it's like, okay, these guys are in their Star Trek ship, those two guys, in your panel up there.
And I thought this was two ships, not one ship.
It's one ship or whatever, but it's, but I love that shot of these guys zooming in behind them or whatever, I mean, I thought that was pretty neat.
Right,
I like that purple moon.
That's like a Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
But it just really feels, I really feel the movement in that scene. I mean, I could really feel them zooming in and explosion coming at us or whatever. And then, up at the top over here on my side, you could almost hear that whip, whip, whip. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, as the shit. And then they they launch these shuttles, and then the captain stays on board, and I guess that's who this guy is. The guy who you were like, who? What are these guys? That is the captain. I'm thinking.
Is this the captain?
Yeah,
I
because
don't think
that's the
that.
same guy. You know what I mean? Like that's those two
No,
guys right here.
that's these two guys here.
I think that's the captain.
Yeah, that's those two guys.
Yeah, so he stays
But
behind, and he's like firing shots from the ship to protect the two shuttles that launched with the crew in them, or
right,
whatever.
right.
And then
See,
I
I
guess he
wish
gets
there was,
blown
I
up.
wish there was another page, because this right here, what we're looking at, is the beginning of the Star Trek reboot movie, where
Yeah.
Kirk's dad, stays with the ship
Mhm.
and all that stuff. And it was really awesome, but they don't show it. He just is like, I'm going to stay back and fight. So I wish
Well,
that they had actually shown him, you know, trying to survive or whatever.
I still think it's a pretty brilliant effort. I mean, they have a lot of story to tell, and they're trying to,
They do.
move fast or whatever. You know what I
They
mean?
definitely do. And like I
Okay,
said,
let's.
there's a lot of narration. There's a lot of dialogue. I mean, look at
Yeah,
all
yeah,
this stuff.
yeah.
Woo!
So like right off the bat, these are the guys that are escaping or whatever, and they crash
Yeah.
down on the planet. Actually, they're investigating this mine down here, and that's what you're seeing in that little panel. They come flying down by it. This is like some miners that are on a planet that is supposed to be like a preserve. There's creatures that are growing there that like aren't supposed to be messed with because they're, it'll mess with their evolution. But these miners or whatever, have gotten on here and they built a whole little complex, and that's what the Legion guys are here to
Yeah, yeah.
investigate.
Which it's
And then,
really funny, because a couple videos ago, I reviewed a comic from Adventure, I think it was, that the premise is almost exactly the same thing, only it's like a more humorous, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy kind of situation, where it's an environmental issue, environmental planet. It's almost exactly the same plot as this whole book, only like I said, it's more tongue-in-cheek humor and that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I remember.
it's very really weird.
Well, I mean, it is kind of like that kind of. I mean, it is a pretty relevant. I mean, it's still a relevant issue.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I
it
mean?
is. It
In this
is.
day and age. So, I mean, it's not that crazy, but like this thing plays out like a pretty clean, like Star Wars clone or whatever, like slash Star Trek kind of thing. Like I really thought it was pretty excellent. So these
Oh
guys
yeah, I
crash,
liked it.
I thought this
But
shot up here of the ship crash was beautiful.
here's another problem that I have here, though. We have them flying to the mine, and they're gonna take pictures of whatever, look at it, and then you have boom, and they get shot down, but they don't actually show any cannons firing, and
No.
I totally think that is horrible. This whole thing, or this whole panel could have been this one, and then below right here should have been the cannons shooting, and then them taking the damage, just to say, oh, we got
Yeah, I
shot.
agree. You
You
definitely
know
could have put it in there pretty easily, but they choose to cover it just by saying, Shagget, this mine's defense battery just juiced us good. Like that's their
yeah,
solution to
yeah.
it. So this
Which
is a comic
I
book.
think that's either lazy or not done
So,
correctly.
anyways, he's like, hang on, we're going down. And then, they crash over here. And I thought this was like a full on Wally Wood looking crash. Really
Yeah.
liked that or
Oh yeah, I
whatever.
like it.
Um, I love the trees and everything, like the smoke coming off of it. That's just very cool. The shot of them inside their, everybody recovering from the, crash or whatever. And then they're like, oh, we need to get our stuff together just in case. And then before he can even, finish what's happening, they hear the hum of this machine coming from behind him. And he turns to realize they're being,
It's the bad
yeah.
guys.
And these guys look,
In there.
does that look right out of like Return of the Jedi or whatever,
That's
dude? Like,
exactly what I thought. There's the Return of the Jedi, the sand skiff or
and
whatever.
this is from 1984, so they
Yeah.
use that as reference, dude. Like for
Which,
sure.
Star Wars is, no matter how you feel about it, is the greatest sci-fi movie
Oh yeah, absolutely.
franchise ever. I
But
mean,
man,
it's just, influenced
the
so many people that you can't get away from it.
the original 6 films, like they're like in my opinion, the original 6 films are like equally as good as anything Akira Kurosawa ever did. You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah, me too, me too.
they're
I
as
mean,
good
they're
as
just
Seven Samurai or Hidden
yeah,
Fortress or anything he ever did.
yeah.
Everyone else can kiss
There's a
my ass.
reason. There's a reason that they're classics. They're
Yeah.
classics.
Now,
So
everything else, after that, is just I could really care less. The TV show and the other movies, I don't even really consider them, and that's like TV shows. You know what I mean? Like I don't consider it Star Wars.
yeah,
But the original
yeah.
six films by George Lucas are masterpieces.
The first six. So you're saying you enjoyed
I
the
like the
prequel?
first. I like 1, 2, and 3 better than 4, 5, and 6.
Really? What?
Yes, by far. I
Really?
love all of them. Okay, I saw all 6 of them on their opening days, except for Star Wars. But I saw Star Wars like
So you like
that summer.
Or Revenge of the Sith more than Empire Strikes Back? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
yes. Actually,
Okay, you can have your opinion.
Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones are like my favorite 2 of all 6.
Huh, huh.
And then it goes Return of the Jedi. You know,
Yeah.
and
See,
then
it's New Hope, Empire, and then Return of the Jedi, and then probably it goes backwards with Revenge of the Sith, and then Clone Wars, and then
yeah,
first one.
I love like
Pod
see
racing.
I put Attack of the Clones. Or no, I mean I put Phantom Menace and A New Hope. They're all basically the same movies almost. You know what I mean? Like
They are, but they don't have Obi-Wan Kenobi,
no, I
old
know,
Ben.
but I
They
just
have
mean the way
young,
they feel. You know what I mean? Like the way they
yeah,
feel. They're just like set up films that set up the bigger ideas or whatever.
yeah,
And they're both cool. Like I love all Star Wars. Like I love all 6 of the films, dude. That's all there
yeah,
is to it. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like but I
yeah,
like the prequels better because the
yeah,
prequels are his real vision of Star Wars, the way he saw it in his head. You know what I mean? Like
right,
that is what he wanted to do. Everybody kiss my ass. Like that's how he said it. You know what I mean? It's like I'm
yeah.
not interested in what you want or what you thought. This is what I wanted to do and could not
That's
do back in the day.
that's what I always say to people that are like talk about the endings or
And we're
whatever.
about
I'm
to
like,
get
you
and
make
we're
your own movie. This is
yeah. And even
Lucas's
beyond
movie.
that, dude, like in just a couple pages, one page, we're about to drop into something that's right out of Attack of the Clones, right out of Phantom Menace. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
okay,
All
so
right,
anyway,
so
these
where are
guys
we
get
at?
ambushed. The whole
Yeah,
crew gets zapped and taken out, and then the captain here is like, "Oh my god, I'm the last dude left." And then they kill him. I love this shot here, all the way on the right hand side of
yeah. So
him laying in the
how
grass.
much other Alien Legion have you read? Do you think?
This is the only one I have.
Oh, is it?
It's the only one I've ever read.
I read the graphic novel, which we didn't even say who created this.
Well, we can
This
go
is
back and do that in
created,
a minute.
huh?
So we could do that. Yeah,
Created by
Carl
Carl
Pop.
Potts. Um, but he didn't write it, which is it's
No,
very
Alan
odd.
Zelenetz. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
And then Frank
penciler is Frank
Sarasso.
Ciroso. I don't know anything
Yeah,
else he's
Sarasso.
done.
Yeah, I've never even
Inker
heard of
is
him.
Terry Austin.
But
The
this Frank
color
guy's
is
got a
Bob
real,
Sharon.
he's got a super freaking like Wally Wood kind of style a little bit. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
Wally Wood mixed with Simonson or something like that.
yeah. But see, this is Carl Potts. He's like a painter, and the graphic novel is like all painted. Like I believe maybe it's just a cover, but he's like a painter. I really love the cover, and I really love all the covers that he
Yeah,
did,
didn't Carl
which is
Potts
weird.
like lay out all the like Punisher War journals? Isn't he the Punisher War journal guy?
Yeah, I think so. I think he laid him out. You mean before
Yeah, because he does like Jim Lee
Jim Lee?
draw pencils them or whatever, but Carl
Yeah,
Potts does the layouts in those first
yeah,
ones.
yeah. And one of my favorite posters was X-Men women with all the X-Men women just lounging around the swimming pool, and that was
Not
done
bad.
by Carl Potts, paint by Carl Potts, and I just loved it. I thought it was awesome.
That
So
I was thinking when I was reading this that it was a bummer that there was no female characters in this. It was the only thing that was kind of holding the story back a little bit.
well, yeah, yeah. I guess they hadn't progressed to women being in the military in 1984. So
All right, so let's go to the next page here.
yeah,
So this is right out of like Phantom Menace or whatever. This whole
yeah,
thing right here,
yeah,
like when I read this, I was like, damn. I was like, this is just like right out of like the Star Wars prequels. So we zoom in on this faraway galactic seat, of power.
Yeah.
They're not very specific. Yeah. But it's full on Coruscant from Star
Yeah.
Wars. You know what
Yeah.
I
Pretty
mean? Like,
much.
and this is 1984, not, 1999 or whatever. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
they're way ahead
Yeah.
of the game here, like they're
And
fully
they,
like envisioning it.
yeah. And they don't scrimp on the dialogue or anything
Uh-uh.
like that. Like they've got a clear cut story to tell you, and they're not going to scrimp ever.
Yeah, as right here, like it's very much like a film in that aspect, and this really great piece right here, like could be right out of like Attack of the Clones or something, as stellar
Yeah.
representatives of the ranking members of the Siderium Committee on Ecological Affairs, we demand full disclosure considering this incident. Despite your reluctance to divulge the truth, typically military, you know what I mean? It's all like this is all like could be like right out of the Senate or whatever in Star
Yeah.
Wars,
Yeah.
you know what I
Totally.
mean, dude? So I thought that was cool, and it like it just shows that, you know what I mean? Like everybody sees this, and that's the way things would be in this kind of a universe or whatever, and it's not like George Lucas just wanted to bore people to death with space politics or whatever. Like when you write a sweeping saga that deals with multiple I mean governmental bodies that conflict or whatever, things like senators and government have to come into
Yeah.
play because that's just how
Yeah.
wars really are.
Yeah, yeah. It's when they in Star Trek when they're showing the upper echelon of the president of the Federation and all of that stuff. It's not just they're world building.
Yeah. So we'll
It's
skip this
not
by
just
pretty fast. Essentially, they're just
yeah,
saying like, oh, there's something going on this planet. It's supposed to be an ecological safety spot. There's a race of people evolving there that should be able, it's Star Trek's first whatever order,
yeah,
like don't
yeah.
mess with any evolving species.
Prime directive. It's
Yeah,
the
prime
prime
directive.
directive.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they're going, oh, well, we already had some guys going in there, but they got shot down. Now we got to go in and investigate these guys getting shot down. And they're just like, well, let's get this wrapped up because we don't want these people being intruded upon by biological weapons and technology and stuff like that. But it's already too late, basically.
I love this panel here. I love
Yeah,
this
doesn't that
panel.
look like the Seven Dwarfs or something like that? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
bouncing over a log, or like one of those shot of all the dwarves in Willow or something. You know what
I
I
feel
mean?
like
Like
it's something from Avatar. I feel like this would
that
be
too.
something
Yeah,
from
you're right.
Avatar.
It totally just looks like, yeah, it really does. Um, yeah, I really love all the like alien texture and like grass and trees and stuff they
Yeah.
put into this. And this guy's very talented. I love this shot here at the bottom of the doctor guy stumbling upon the corpse of, one of the corpses of the other dudes. And the shadow of all these leaves on the back of his like space helmet here on the bottom right hand
Oh yeah, that's nice.
panel on
That's a nice
your side.
texture.
Yeah, dude, that's very cool. I love the one of here, these guys like walking through the grass with all the white around them and then just the grass green underneath their feet or whatever. That
Oh
center
yeah.
panel all the way on the left.
Yep.
Just a beautiful page in general, that page.
Yep. One of the
And
things that this is an epic comic. So I didn't get this when I was younger because it was only in comic book stores. It wasn't on the newsstand. So it this definitely has it almost feels like an indie comic.
it really does in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
I do love the like they're really good with the Doc Martin dies.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's really getting some cool stuff here. Like this shot at the top of my, on the right hand side of the perimeter, with the tent, and then like these
Yeah.
little floating drones or whatever, and they're really able to go back in and just add like watercolor to these trees in the background, give them this sort of nice subdued look. I mean, all the colors are gorgeous on this thing, man.
There.
Like it's really good, and the art is outstanding. It's just really beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
It's a little like stiff in places or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But other
Yeah.
than that, like, that's just like anybody. Nobody's perfect when it comes to that kind of stuff.
All right. So get back into the story.
So,
They
I mean, basically, yeah, go ahead. You want to?
one of the characters, one of the legions, they get into kind of a fight, but one of them actually takes off, and he's like, he's pretty much like, screw this, I'm gonna go take off and do
Yeah,
whatever I
his
want to do.
logic is like he thinks those guys got taken out. He thinks so like we might get taken out, so maybe I'll just kind of hide out for a minute and wait and see if these bad guys show up, and if they do, I'll let those guys deal with it. He's kind of deserting them, not so many words.
Yeah, yeah, and they just kind of go through the whole dialogue of, they're just discussing the mission, and in this book, there's a lot of political intrigue within political intrigue. Like the soldiers, some of them are doubting whether or not they're doing what is best for them and for the Legion and everything, and so they have a lot of internal conflict between each of the characters.
Yeah, and they talk about that in that first page, that first page on the left, the inside cover,
Yeah,
where
yeah,
they talk about how one of the things the Legion has to deal with, and one of like, well, you have to be a pretty strong leader to lead Legionnaires. It's because they're made up of so many different races from so many different galaxies, and they
yeah,
don't hardly ever see eye to eye. They all have very different characteristics. They all have very different ideas of what is good and bad. And, it's really hard to wrangle all these guys into a cohesive unit because they have a lot of superstitions. They all got a lot of different, things that make up their ideologies. So they're
yeah.
always, struggling to get along and work as a team.
Yep, and
I think
that's where it diverges from Star Trek, because in Star Trek it's like one big happy family in a federation. Nobody ever, hates somebody else because they're a different race or whatever. For the most part, I mean, sometimes there is, but in here it's more like reality, more like there is racism and stuff between these characters and stuff.
yeah. And it's funny because he even has like, okay, like this guy's got the full on this pink squid or this
Yeah,
pink sort of turtle dude or whatever, he talks backwards, kind of like Yoda or whatever. It's like, no, Jugger Grimrod, this biosphere to preserve is our obligation. Echo Cat went with Cha'ad, the planet of my birth. An ecological catastrophe suffered my home world. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah,
and then this dude over here, this green guy, he talks a little bit like Jar Jar. You know what I mean? He's like, Misakat's stronger maybe than others. You know what I mean? Suffer
right.
consequences. Scare the Misakat, populate you. You know what I mean? Like, and I just thought that was weird, dude. Like, because it's
Yeah.
not that far from Jar Jar at all, really. It's
No,
very,
no,
very
but this
close.
this whole part is probably one of my favorite parts of the whole comic, where these two characters actually butt heads, and they're actually going to start fighting. They do fight.
Yeah, he starts picking on the little guy, and he don't want to
Yeah,
be picked on, so he tries to fight back because
yeah.
he's a prisoner who chose being in the Legion over going to prison, but he's thinking maybe he might have made a mistake now, because he gets picked on so much.
Right, right. And he's hoping somebody's going to help him, but nobody's going to help him. They're like,
Nobody helps him.
"Hey, this
Yeah,
this looks like it's fun." And
yeah,
but then the badass commander, whips his tail and it's like, "Enough."
yeah. And he makes his first appearance, and it's pretty cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like he comes in and
yeah,
he's a badass or whatever. Like he's a
yeah.
typical Hugo Snitchlich or whatever from like the Glorious Bastards or something. You know
Oh
what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah. They respect him.
yeah,
They fear and
yeah,
respect him.
yeah. And he earns it, you know what I mean? Because he's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
there. Like whenever they're doing something bad, he's like one of the first dudes going in. Like he's not like that. Oh, I give orders and stand back type of guy. You know what I mean? Like he jumps right in there with the boys every time.
Right, right.
This beautiful
And
shot of it. I
also
love
one
that
of
of
the
everyone
things I
standing
thought it
there.
was. Yeah, oh yeah, I love that. That's like one of the hard things to draw. Just people hanging out.
Yeah,
Not
and they're
not
all
doing action.
very cool alien designs. They all look like they would be out of Return of the Jedi. You know what I mean? He sticks to
Yeah,
the,
yeah,
pseudo humanoid design, not getting too far away. This little guy all the way on the left looks like he could be done by a puppet from Dark Crystal or something like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. One of the things though that I didn't really, I mean, I understood it as a story point, but the fact that they have to use like tranquilizer darts instead of lasers, why do you think they did that?
Because it's ecological place, then the lasers are not supposed to
Right.
ever be found by those things or whatever.
That
So they have to go in using just high powered darts that don't leave any
that
mark
doesn't
behind
make
after they're
that
used.
doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I didn't
I mean,
write it.
like the laser is it's assuming the laser hits the target. It's not like they're gonna, and how many trees can you shoot, with your laser that's gonna really hurt a whole planet?
Yeah, I think maybe in this universe, the laser gun has a 5-year charge on it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like one of those
maybe.
things could, one of them orangutan things could just pick it up and learn how to use it, and then all of a sudden be king orangutan. And you know what I mean? And be killing
Right.
every, you know what I mean? just as a
Yeah.
wild idea, but I'm just saying, like, it's a thing, you know what I mean? And literally, we see at the end, you know what I mean? If
Right.
you got to
Right.
the end, you know what happens, like,
Yeah.
but he comes
So
in, he butts heads, and he breaks up this fight quick, and he tells these
yeah.
guys to get their crap together, or they're both going to be spending the night in the brig, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we go to the bad guys.
Yeah, and so
Who's
these guys are miners, and they're just exploiting the planet, and I'm not sure what they're mining exactly. It's some sort of precious metal of some kind.
unobtainium.
Yeah, you know, uh, like, meanwhile, it's like, don't tell me the mass driver is already working peak capacity. I want productivity. I want productivity doubled in the next few days. I've suspicions the union's not through disrupting our business here. It's like, but Prin, it takes time to charge the force vacuum field. Without it, the atmosphere is going to
Yeah.
disintegrate the ores. Okay, so they're
Yeah.
just hunting some sort of precious metals that they need. Who knows what for, these aliens,
Yeah. Yeah. Just something important to them. It's not
Yeah,
like
it doesn't
that's
really.
not really the big part. The part
Yeah,
is
I just
the
wanted to
point
touch
is
base
that
on
they're
that
doing
again,
it
just
when
in
they
case they
shouldn't do it.
said something there, like, but no, they don't. They just are very vague about what they're mining or whatever.
Yeah.
But the real thing to take away here is this: those creatures, whatever, like on his left there, whatever. That's one of the creatures that are living on this planet that are evolving, and we can see it beginning to mimic him. Like down here in
Yeah.
your bottom panel, like on your side, it's mimicking him pointing or whatever. As he pushes that guy down, and
Yeah.
over at the top here on my side, you can see them both. He's mimicking his walk, and
Yeah.
he picks up a piece of fruit and offers it to him. And then dude shoots the fruit, because he's just monologuing about what a badass he is and how he's got to handle these legionnaire
And
guys. And
he's the big jerk.
yeah, he shoots the fruit. And basically, our takeaway here is how this little guy here is like sees all of it and begins absorbing it. And we see him
Yeah.
mimicking the gun already. And in his head, he's like making the laser sound like, bzzz. That's what happens when you point your finger, like, so these guys are already evolving.
Yeah, yeah. Then we have the Legion just kind of walking, and this is basically your Lord of the Rings, where they're walking to their destination. So you spend some time with them while they're walking.
I love the red night, dude. The red
Yeah,
night sky,
yeah, yeah.
dude.
That's
That's a
cool.
great looking page, dude. It really, especially like on this first panel on the left, the long one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that, like the blue, like of the ground, and them just like stretching out behind. It seems like there's way more of them in this shot than there actually
yeah,
is. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Do you think it would have been better to have a close up of one of the characters,
I don't know. I
or
like
you think
this,
it'd be
and
better
then
that?
and then I love the silhouette that it cuts to at the top with them crossing
Yeah,
by the moon or whatever. I would have maybe
yeah.
put another moon in there or a Saturn or something. I don't know. Like,
The
that would have
interesting
been my
thing is
instinct.
the interesting thing is like, and from the other silhouette was that they don't do complete silhouettes. Like there's hints of like the tail and
Yeah, they
and
put like
some
the
of these other
goggles in
parts.
there or something, like,
Yeah,
yeah, they put like some little piece on it to kind of like the light on the gun or the stripe on
yeah.
frickin' the
When you
captain's
think of
snake body.
silhouettes, who do you think of?
Oh, dude, like, it's just a 90s thing for me. I don't think of any one person, but like
Yeah,
Joe Madureira does a ton of those
I
things.
think of Todd McFarlane right
Todd
off the bat. I'm
McFarlane does
always
quite
like
a few
Todd
of them.
McFarlane.
Jim Lee does it a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Ross Portacio does it a lot.
yeah.
Like, I try to do it,
It's good.
a handful
Every
of
few
times every
pages or
day.
whatever. Yeah,
I mean, like, you could find every book I've done, almost everything has at least one silhouette in it somewhere. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So this is an easy way to. I mean, even like in something like those 7 pages of Crom have a silhouette on it.
yeah,
One of the apes getting, like a spear through him is a silhouette like that. So
yeah,
what I mean, it's just the easy way to cut through something like that. Drawing the whole thing. But
yeah,
those little mid shots are tough no matter what. And those look great. Every figure there looks solid. It looks really beautiful. I love all the coloring on that page as well.
yeah.
So we're
Yeah,
just
and
basically,
especially since there's so much writing that, it doesn't look like they're crimping on the artwork or anything. It's just it's natural.
but you know what, dude? Like, the writing, it went down fast. Like, okay, like when I was reading this, it didn't read like Hellshock does, where you're like
Yeah.
bogged down in
Right.
dialogue that's not really going anywhere, or like not telling you much of anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I moved through, like, I read this thing really quick. It probably, like, it's almost like the way like Six Lords of Sound is written. You know what I mean? Like, you look at it and it's like, oh, it's 36 pages. Oh, it's going to take forever. It has a lot of writing on the pages when you look at it. But when you sit down and read it, it only takes about 15
if it
minutes. You know what I mean?
if it flows naturally and you're enjoying it, then it makes the reading experience so much, easier and faster and better. If you're not enjoying it, if you're reading Spawn #1 and you've got a wall of text and you're like, what, why is he putting all of this stuff in and I don't care about any of it, then, I'm just saying, using that as an example. I don't know if
Yeah.
you love Todd McFarlane's
I mean,
writing or
it's all
not.
right. I don't. I never thought he was particularly good. No.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
read recently was well, we'll talk about it later. But I was reading Alan Moore's Gloria and was just like I was amazed at how
Oh,
good it was.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was trippy to me that he's that good. Like it was an 8-page story and it was so concise and so good. It was just like, dang, like how?
Yeah. He's
But
awesome.
let's get
That's
back
why
to
he's
this
my
guy.
favorite writer.
Yeah, he's really good. Okay, no, go to the next page. We're done. That page you're basically on is them entering the base. They come
Yeah.
in, they handle the outside guard, and they break inside. They're just basically infiltrating the mine now, and going to get in there and handle their business, which is essentially just to take these guys out like a hit squad.
Yeah.
And they
So one
get through
one of the
the
things I was asking you how many Alien Legion you've read is that they have a lot of, I don't know if they have throwaway characters. Like I almost think Duggar dies in the graphic novel. A lot of their characters die, like a lot, almost all of them die, except for maybe the main captain guy. So there's a lot of um, character turnover, and also, that's kind of their thing. Like these guys are at war or soldiers, so they're gonna die.
Yeah, well, that makes it believable, I guess. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
it
Like,
does.
I never really considered that, to be honest. Like, because when I
Yeah,
was a kid, I don't, my brain never registered that this was an ongoing series. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think I ever saw another one.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
so like I just, assumed this was a one shot story, like the way, most films are a one shot story. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not like I got a sequel to Adventures in the Forbidden Zone or whatever. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just get a story and that's it. And I think that's
yeah.
just the way my brain saw it. And
This
I like it
that
very
is
much.
that is why they have the darts, even though they don't have the Comics Code Authority. I think they wanted to cut down on the killing, and so that's why they gave them dart guns instead of lasers. Because the
I
lasers,
don't
they're
know.
killing everybody.
I think the dart guns do kill them though, don't they? Aren't the dart
I
guns
don't
killing these
know.
guys?
I think they knock them out.
I don't know. I think they're killing them, but I'm gonna have to
They,
go over
it
that
might.
again.
They
Maybe
might.
I don't know if it's terribly specific, but I'm pretty sure every guy that's laid out in this is dead.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Because this thing is just like it's like the Dirty Dozen in space is
Yeah.
essentially what this
It
is.
it really is. Like they're either on a suicide mission or they're on just like deadly missions that they
Yeah,
could or they could not come back
and
from.
like you said, you were like, oh, that was one of my favorite spots. Like this was probably one of mine right here, and it's like we got the little Jar Jar Binks guy, and he's out there, and he's in the middle of the battle, and
Yeah,
he gets pinned down or whatever, and gets shot kind of bad, and the dude who was picking on him is like sees him, out
exactly.
there, laid out, and
Exactly.
just gunfire coming down all around him, and is like,
Yep.
ah, man, he's care if I freaking hate this guy or not. I'm not going to be the dude that leaves a legionnaire behind. And the guy who was beating the crap out of him runs across like hella, blazing open fire. Classic World War II action right here.
Yeah.
Picks
Yep.
this dude up with gunfire just all around him and carries
Yeah.
him to safety and drops him behind some cans where he'll be all right, at least where he's covered,
Yeah. See, that's why I love the beginning of that, because it develops their relationship and allows this scene to be even more impactful.
Yeah, dude, like that's kind of that's like the stuff with like Superion and the Admiral or whatever. You want to set up like differentials between the characters so that they can achieve them and then come together or whatever. You know
Right.
what I
Right.
mean? Like
Dan says, I don't know about appeasing the Comic Code Authority. Isn't there a lot of drug use in the later issues? I don't know, Dan. I haven't really read enough Alien Legion, but I'm gonna. I
yeah,
have
I
a
was gonna
stack of
say
these that I'm gonna
I
read.
only have like any tool of reference for this one right here, man. And it's like they keep talking about like drinking and stuff like that. And they,
Yeah,
these
Grog.
guys they rob the corpses, that they shoot up and stuff, you know
Yeah,
what I mean? They come across, like so they're not that good at good guys, you know what I mean? Like I could definitely see like things like, I mean, you know, you always have like stuff like spice or something like that. There's even spice in Star Wars or whatever, you know what I
Right.
mean? And they always just be vague about it, like it's some sort of drug or does some sort of thing that, you know, like people want, you know what I mean? Like I don't know what
Yeah.
spice is, but all
Right.
the smugglers seem to be making a lot of money off of it in Star Wars, you know. So
Right. So this whole scene here where they're infiltrating the camp is my least favorite part of the book. Other than the scene where, yeah, like you were saying, where he saves the dude that he, was going to fight earlier on.
yeah, there's supposed to be a cool little moment here where the good guy, you know, the I guess he's like the Riker, you know, of the group or
Yeah.
whatever, like, you know, and he has a moment where one of his guys is going to get shot up and he's all out of darts, like his dart
Yeah.
gun's empty, you know. So that's why they're brawling right here. And he sees a laser gun and he's like morally ambiguous for a moment because they're not supposed to use no lasers, you know what I mean? They've been given an order,
Yeah.
no lasers, you know. So he picks the gun up and uses it anyways and just thinks, I'll deal with whatever happens. You know, I'm going to save my guy. I'm not going to, like, you know, let this dude die just because I was afraid to break an order.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
you know the Legion guys are not afraid to break an order either. You know, even the best of their good guys will still do it. You know.
But then he runs out, but then he also punches the dude on your page.
Well,
So
that's who he's saving. See that they
yeah.
run in, they run out of darts. You know,
Yeah.
he tackles one guy. His other dude is also out of darts. He just starts
Yeah.
beating the crap out of the other guy, and there's someone coming up behind him. You know, is going to shoot them from afar. You know, and then he looks over and sees that the dude that he tackled dropped his gun or whatever. So he
Yeah.
picks the gun up and then shoots the guy way back here, you know, and saving
Yeah.
his buddy. And then we cut to Jugger Grimrod. He's, like I said, my second favorite character because he's like kind of like the Wolverine of this group or whatever. You know, he just charges in there all on his own and like takes everybody down. And I love this scene right here where he pulls out his like strangle cord, which is made out of some
Yeah.
sort of like
Yeah.
diamond freaking, you know, whatever, you know. And this whole thing is just a quick little fight scene. He takes these dudes out, you know, shoots those two guys with his darts, takes this guy's gun out, you know, and then
Uses a
leaves him
frisbee.
alive because he wants to do this to him, you know. Go ahead and turn the page. Oh, you're there already.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna freaking cut this guy's head off with this razor wire or whatever, you know. And that's a really cool 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 panel, you know, little like
Yep.
animation of him, you know,
Yeah.
doing
It
that.
shows it. It doesn't show it, but it shows enough. Like this slice, and then
Yeah.
the resolution,
Yeah,
and
let your
then
imagination
even this
mold
panel
it.
here, it's like he did it, and this is like the final
Yeah,
resolution.
the satisfaction of it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's good stuff. And then he realizes that these guys have set some bombs down there for his Legionnaire buddies, but they can't be turned off either. Or like they're set up with you know, some sort of fuse that can't be stopped. So he decides to put it on their little ore launcher that's been launching their ore into space, because these guys launch their ore into space and then somewhere in orbit up there, someone else collects it, I guess. You know, that's how they're
Yeah.
getting it off the planet. So he's going to put it on their big, and then we cut back to our Legion guys, and they're in here, and they've set up a bunch of rocks in front of this convoy that's down there, like with a bunch of the bad guys looking for the Legion dudes. And they all have to get out and frickin', you know, they're going to have to move the rocks. And that's when the Legion guys ambush everybody.
Yeah.
And it's the captain, you know, he's up in there in some sort of classic Tarzan kind of thing where he just like lowers a rope down, but it's not a rope. It's actually his torso and his legs. And he grabs
Yeah.
his dude's neck and just grabs him up. I always like Tarzan does this in a lot of the books. Like he'll
No,
just
does
like,
he?
yeah, like in the actual novels, you know, he'll just
Yeah.
use like a piece of the jungle or whatever, you know, the freaking vines or whatever. And he'll just be like standing in the trees way up high, and he'll just wait till no one's looking. He'll just like lower a vine over some guy's neck and then just like pull him all the way up in the trees and
Yeah.
strangle him to death, you know?
Yeah. See, I was thinking Alien in the.
Yeah, that too, for
Doesn't he
sure.
use the tail to do that?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I mean, it's super cool and it
Yeah.
looks great. It's another beautiful animation. You see the face getting wrapped, you know, they're turned away, and then that moment they're turned away, he's just gone, you know, freaking they
Yeah.
come back
Yeah.
and like, what the heck? And Captain's there again, knocks this dude on his butt, knocks these guys on their butt, freaking they all come in, they bust into this big old cargo carrier with all the dudes inside it, and they take the whole crew out.
I would love to see this animated. I would love to see
Yeah,
an
it would
animated
make a
show.
it would make a cool, you know what I mean? Like
It would, and
Netflix movie or something, you know, like
the snake guy, his tail would be so cool to animate.
yeah,
See
just that
animated.
character alone is cool. Like just like it's surprising that we've never seen anyone like that in all of Star Trek or all of Star Wars.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what I mean? That's a very unique design. You would think somebody would have like, you know,
Yeah,
I mean, like Clash of the Titans. You know, you got Medusa, but that's
yeah.
probably where he got the idea from. You know.
Well, it's pretty obvious. You would think, yeah, like you said, you would think there would be more people.
Yeah, trying
But
to, you know,
it's when you're creating a hero or character that you want people to like, which I assume they did. It's hard to deviate from your classic bipedal,
yeah,
handsome hero. I mean, I
it
had a
is.
hard time. I struggled with whether or not to make Morgrim a Cyclops.
Yeah,
Because
I know,
I
but
wanted a sword sorcery hero.
especially because so much emotion takes place in the eyes, and when you only have one
Yeah,
eye, you can't
yeah,
hardly show some of those things. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
you can't hardly be too angry or be too happy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's
Right,
hard.
right. But I mean, this guy, he's awesome.
Yeah, that's a super cool looking character. Just a great design on every level. So they come in, they take out all these dudes in here, and then they set the truck running, you know, on autopilot, and they send it crashing into one of the foundational pieces of the mine, deep in the mine,
Yeah,
you know, where that's holding up the tunnels or whatever. And then we cut to the outside of the mine, and they're all out there now. They're waiting um, for the Legion out. You know, they're like, "Come on out! You know, you're dead meat."
you're
But
right.
these guys, you know, were already on the other side or whatever, and they're freaking, you know, they ambush them again and they get them, take them all out real fast. More darts. They got to be running low by now. And then it's all wrapping up, you know, freaking.
Yeah,
They all come together. Freaking Jugger Grimrod's down, launcher thing blows up. He gets in trouble for having put
gets
explosions on it because
yelled
they were
at.
not allowed to use explosive devices. Yeah. So he's under threat of being stuck in the brig, but it's nothing new for this guy. He's just that guy totally. I like how
Yeah,
they gave him a slightly different head to like piece to wear, so he's like easier to identify than some of the other
yeah,
guys, you know.
yeah, yeah. Like
Because
I
I
said,
got
that
like
was one of my problems with it.
yeah, I got this guy. Let's see, I kept mixing up Tori Montrock
Yeah, yeah,
and Torka Dunn. Like
yeah.
those two guys, I kept getting mixed up. Like I kept having to like come back and check and see which one it was or
Yeah.
whatever, you know.
That's
Like,
when the character really, would a character say this thing over another character? So, if
yeah,
you can establish the characterization well enough, it helps the
and I
story a
think
lot.
that's what those pieces are at the front there to kind of like tell you
Yep.
like, oh, this guy's like he's into money, or this guy he's into mischief, and this guy he's a really good guy who always listens to what he's told. You know what I mean? So that you
Yeah.
can see those characters playing out as the story goes along or whatever, you know. But so they're finally taking out the last of the pirates, and they're breaking through the barriers right here, and we see like that one pet, Rothafar or whatever they're called, is still there in the complex, still being, introduced to all this violence and all this, mayhem that his poor innocent race should never be seeing at this point in their development. And we're closing in on it, and then finally we are revealed that the bad guy is a Harkalon, and I guess this is what
Yeah.
they look like, and they're showing them for the first time, and he's wearing like some sort of 3D freaking masking device, like the ones they wear in the X-Men that just change you into a completely different thing or something.
I
I
think
guess.
no, I think it's wasn't his psychic abilities.
Oh no, you're right. Yeah, the pain. I can't
Can't
concentrate to
concentrate.
maintain my message. You're right. He has the ability
Yeah.
to psychically trick you. So I guess sort of like Professor X you into thinking you're seeing something
Yeah.
you're not.
Yeah, and that's who they were the race that they were talking about in the
Yeah.
beginning.
Those are the guys that shot them down, like when they were
Yeah.
first in that very first. Those are the guys that were zooming in those Cylon looking ships or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, he finally is revealed to be one of those evil Harkalons, and he's gonna kill their guy right there. And this is, I guess, that's Torka Dunn, the money guy who always steals the watches and stuff or whatever. And then,
That's who this guy?
yeah, this dude right here
Yeah.
that's being held hostage or whatever. He's the
Oh, yeah.
guy that.
All right,
Yeah,
yeah.
So then we have a mysterious hand coming up behind, the bad guy holding a gun, and we're ready for our Twilight Zone like ironic moment right here.
Yeah.
And we see it's one of those creatures that he'd been keeping as a pet, and it was watching him mimic the gun, and now he's got the gun in his hand, and what does he do? He kills the guy. He shoots him anyway.
He's pissed that he shot his apple. He wanted
Yeah.
his apple.
He's figured out what it is, you know what I mean? He's been putting it together in his head this whole time, and
Yeah.
finally gets it. And he takes him out and gives the Legion guys just enough time to, fill this dude full of those darts. And I don't think he's stunned. I'm pretty dead.
Yeah, you could be right.
And then we got a nice little wrap up, and the sort of like, Raiders of the Lost Ark, sort of like, oh, we did all this work, but now the government's going to come in and make it look like we did nothing, like we didn't even exist out here, and that it was never like this. We're going to hide all this, that it happened, and we still didn't really achieve what we were hoping for by not having any effect on these people's existence. And that's basically where it wraps up for the Legion guys. But before we're done, we cut away to an epilogue here where we see that first guy, Badge, who wandered off and sort of deserted the Legion, and he followed the Rothafar guy, or Rothars, or whatever they're called, all the way back to their little camp. Rathosaurs. And he follows them all the way back to their very primitive camp, and they just got this sort of like Ewok camp they're living at. And what are they doing? The Rothosaurs have been collecting all the electronic gizmos and trash left behind by the miners and all their stuff, and they've been doing this for a while now. And he sits and thinks, I wonder if they're intelligent enough to figure out how to use these things yet. And obviously we already know that they are. And we close off with this poor guy setting off some sort of grenade and blowing up, one of his buddies.
Now, is this one of the Rothosaurs that dies?
Yeah.
Or is this guy?
No, because this guy's wearing armor.
Yeah.
He's got a backpack on. He's wearing armor. This is a Rothosaur.
When I first looked at it, I thought it was this guy. Which it makes more sense that this happened because they don't know what the weapon's going to do. But this would have been a little bit more tongue-in-cheek, kind of humory, I guess.
No, that's what I mean. Like Alex, these guys would have been benefited by your imagination at that point. That would have been a slightly better ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If the guy because he abandoned the Legion because he was afraid of getting in a firefight or whatever.
Right.
So it would have been more ironic if he had been freaking killed by it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The only way it could be him is if it blew all of his armor off him or something. You know what I mean? Like maybe we'll just imagine that it blew so hard it completely burned all of his armor off him, and he's just a scorched guy there at the very end.
But no, because this guy does look like this guy with the ears.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, they're all Rothosaurs. These are all Rothosaurs over here. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, they all kind of look like I don't know.
The same thing. They're like that little village or whatever, And like up here on the top, this thing in the middle, that's the big pile of stuff that they're and you can see there's a bunch of them surrounding it. You know what I mean? And he's too far away. You know what I mean? He's so far off. Look how small they are. He's at, you know what I mean?
That's true.
And look how close this is to him. Like here at the very bottom. So it's got to be a Rothosaur.
So anyway, that's a sad ending. I think almost all the Alien Legions are sad endings.
Yeah. Well,
it's
except
kind
for
of
that Twilight Zone sort of freaking Tales from the Outer Limits ending there or whatever,
Yeah. All right.
Did you
there we go.
Alien Legion. Did you look at any of these back here? The little.
I did. They're pretty standard. This guy.
Funny is comics. They're all like 1952, 1956, 1948, 1952. Dang.
Yeah, they're old.
They're all old now, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, 84 is 40-something years ago.
So what did you think of this thing?
I liked it. Like I said, I was going to read it again because when I missed a lot of stuff, just because my brain didn't absorb it correctly. But when I started reading it, The second time, I enjoyed it a little bit more. So I'm gonna do that with the other comic that I reviewed that I just could not absorb it. So that's how it is with comic books sometimes. Is you have to be either in the right frame of mind, or maybe you have to might read something over and over again to fully understand it. But I enjoyed it. I really liked all of the characters. I liked the story. I thought the writer did a really fantastic job. Um, I liked it a lot.
I agree with you on all those points. I thought the art was rad. I thought the coloring was really beautiful. I thought the story was a lot of fun to read and it read fast. The characters were fun and interesting. I mean, they were basically what I expected. And I
Yeah,
like that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I'm fine
yeah.
with that. Like, I don't need you to recreate the whole wheel for me or whatever. I'm perfectly fine with the regular old fashioned wheel. Um,
Right. Yeah.
they were all cool, especially the captain character, and he ties it all together, and he's the coolest one out of all of them. I'd like to see an action figure of that guy.
Yeah, I bet there are Alien Legion action figures, but it
Yeah.
sets up the world perfectly too. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, what's coming up in Alien Legion is more depressing political military stuff. You know?
And I think the epic line was just sort of there to, like add a slightly more adult context to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Allow them to maybe put, more violence or slightly more mature sexual ideas or
yeah.
drug use or I don't know, like, it must have been kind of just to get away from the comics code thing, you would think.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Because it
or
still
they
says
just
Marvel.
well, my idea is I feel like they wanted a little bit of 2000 AD Rogue Trooper kind of thing, and you can't really do that with the Comics Code Authority.
Yeah, that's for sure. But it has way better production than some of that stuff, I think. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah,
It just
yeah, and less tongue in cheek humor.
yeah.
I like the serious tone of it.
Yeah, it takes itself pretty seriously. It does.
Yeah, yeah, it
All right,
does.
you guys, that was Alien Legion. I'm glad you hung out with us today. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up here. This is Comic Books from Coast to Coast. I'm Joe Leonardo. I'm the creator of Six Lords of Sound, and together, Alex and I are the creators of Entropy Alliance. This is a copy of Entropy Alliance #1, where the sequel to this, #2, is very close to being finished. The colors are being finalized on the pages as we speak. Uh, I'm also the creator of Six Lords of Sound. If any of these comic books interest you or you think you'd like to get your hands on one,
Thanks
please
for
direct
watching,
message
Doug.
me.
Dan,
Yeah, thank
sorry.
you everybody that joined us today. No, you're fine. Just please direct message me on Instagram at Awfully World on Instagram, and I'll definitely get a hold of you. I never ignore anybody's direct messages, and I'll definitely get you a copy of any of these books. You can also find these on comicscreatorsmarketplace.com, which is Alex Turbin's website for selling comics. Alex is also a comic book publisher, and he does really beautiful publishing of the books. And all these books were actually published by Alex, all the books I'm showing you right now. And he does beautiful printing. And if you're interested in getting your work done and printed, Alex has very reasonable rates. So please contact him by leaving a message on YouTube in the
Comment section.
yes, thank you, and or direct messaging him at his Instagram, which is Alex Turbin at Instagram 04401.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Alex is the creator of Random Access, and we have the latest Random Access in front of us right here, and it looks absolutely amazing. That's a
Yep.
Xander Chrome, right?
Yep, this is the Enderchrome created by Paul
Paul
Courtjohn, and
Portjohn.
there's a
Never looked
story
cooler,
with
dude. This
Jake
is a
Quirk
great
in it.
cover. That's an
What's that?
awesome cover. I said I've never seen him look cooler. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah, yeah,
did you
thanks.
color that?
Yeah, yeah,
Dude, that's great. I love it.
yeah. All the background is it's not all digital. I did like a speckling, however you make space while you're speckling. But all of this other stuff is digital.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, thanks. And there's a whole ton of people in this. There's more and more people in Random Access every month. And dude, you need to start having some stuff in Random Access.
Alex, I just only got so many hours in the day.
Even
I
even if
really
it's
want
even
to.
if it's old stuff. Even if it's old stuff.
I know. Speaking of old stuff, like we need to do a show where like we pull out some of our old art and look at it or whatever. I found
Yeah,
some old
yeah,
stuff
definitely.
recently. It'd be cool to go over.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
definitely.
know. I really need to try and get some stuff done on the side or something like maybe the military thing or something like that. And
Yeah.
Random is
Yeah.
Max and Random Access. I know I've been
Yeah.
lagging. Everybody else is in there but me. Like everybody's in there but me.
And I've been this issue has me continuing Cyrene's storyline, which random access stories are they're like stories that I wouldn't do just on their own. Like the Morgrim, I feel like I can do that on its own thing. But the random access is just like it's not like lesser than stories, but just things that I either have in the back of my mind or whatever. But Cyrene has really kind of grown into something that I really, really enjoy doing. And this is the death of Cyrene, actually, because in the previous issues, yeah, her friend, they were all kidnapped or captured by cultists, and they were going to sacrifice her friend to raise the giant demon. And Cyrene actually says, "No, take me instead," because she is going through the trials. But this is an actual thing happening. This is actually part of the trials. So she volunteers herself to be sacrificed, and they do raise the demon, and that's how it ends,
It's
or
pretty
to be
epic.
continued, rather.
Yeah. No, dude, like, and that's all, who's the what's the Red Knight guy that's always with her in her adventures?
Adrian.
I always get him and Death Knight mixed up or whatever,
Yeah, no,
I
that's
always get him that
Adrian.
guy's, his armor is so tricky to draw, dude. That you do that in every, one of those stories is definitely commendable.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of lines and shading.
Yeah,
But there's some fantastic artwork in here. Like I said, there's a whole
everybody's been
bunch of
turning in
people.
really great stuff. Yeah, for Random Access, it's just getting more and more impressive as it goes along. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's good because you're starting to see stories come together. You know what I mean? You're starting to
yep,
see like people approaching longer pieces that fit together and make longer stories. And a lot of these guys have never done that before. So, it's really cool to see these guys have a place to stretch their legs and, like feature, have some of their art that might not necessarily ever get shown to people, featured in a way that, it gets a lot of exposure to a lot of different people.
yeah. All right, so
Okay.
want to
I guess
wrap
that
it up?
wraps it up for us, you guys. We really appreciate you hanging out with us once again. Comic Books from Coast to Coast. I'm Joe. He's Alex. You guys are awesome. We super appreciate you. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Thank you for hanging out for the entire video. If you're a creator like us, then please contact Alice and get a hold of us. And you too can be featured in Random Access. And if you have your own comic, we can definitely get it featured on here. I know Alex just recently had someone who joined our ranks have their comic featured on the show, and it was a really great episode. I really enjoyed that.
Cool, awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a cool comic.
All right, you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. We always say at the end, keep on creating.